Karoline Leavitt stood on the Hannity stage at Fox News, the spotlight illuminating the deep blue suit of the 27-year-old White House press secretary, her heart pounding before the high-stakes showdown. Just minutes earlier, De Niro had stepped out, declaring Trump is a disaster and Leavitt is his puppet. The brief but sharp attack sent the crowd into a frenzy, applause mixing with whistles ringing out. Leavitt, gripping the microphone tightly, her eyes blazing, didn't flinch before the millions watching. De Niro, with 2 Oscars and a Nobu empire, was confident he'd overpower this young MAGA woman. But Leavitt, armed with her Catholic faith and unwavering loyalty to Trump, saw this as her chance to prove him wrong for calling her a puppet. She stepped into the light, ready to turn the stage into her battlefield. This wasn't just a debate, it was Leavitt's moment to flip the script and steal the spotlight from De Niro. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. The studio glowed with bright lights, the audience falling silent as Robert De Niro stood center stage, his black suit hugging his frame, his gaze as cold and sharp as the Vito Corleone he once portrayed. The camera panned slowly, scattered applause rising from the liberal corner as Sean Hannity introduced Hollywood legend, never afraid to speak his mind, Robert De Niro. He nodded slightly, grabbed the mic, and wasted no time landing his first blow. "I'm here to say one thing," he began, his deep voice resonating. "Donald Trump is the biggest disaster America has ever seen, and Karoline Leavitt, the Gen Z kid, is his newest puppet, a mouthpiece who knows nothing beyond reading the scripts Trump shoves in her hands." The crowd erupted, MAGA supporters whistling in protest, liberals clapping wildly, the studio air instantly heating up like a furnace. De Niro leaned forward, his left hand raised like a seasoned stage actor, his eyes sweeping the audience. "You think I'm kidding?" he smirked, his thick New York accent from Little Italy days cutting through. "I've seen guys like Trump, con men, all flash and no substance. I've played gangsters in movies, but Trump's the real gangster, and Leavitt's his childish lackey. She's 27, hasn't lived enough to know what's going on, and she dares stand before the nation as a spokesperson for a clown." Laughter roared from the liberal side, a few people holding up phones to record, knowing this line would soon spread online. He didn't stop. De Niro stepped to the side, pointing straight at the camera, as if addressing Leavitt backstage. "She's the youngest press secretary in history, right? Sounds nice, but what's she done besides cover for Trump? Look at the signal leak. She let the world see Trump's plans by adding a reporter to the chat by mistake. I don't know if she's incompetent or intentional, but if that's how she represents the American people, we're in big trouble." The audience howled with laughter, someone shouting, "Right on, Bobby." De Niro shrugged, a smirk curling his lips, as if he'd just delivered a knockout punch effortlessly. Sean Hannity tried to cut in. "Bob, she's coming out to face you right now, what do you think?" But De Niro interrupted instantly, his voice sharper than ever. "Face me? I'd love that. I want to see her explain how she justifies being Trump's puppet, a guy I've called a danger for years. I stood outside his courthouse, told the crowd to their faces he's unfit to lead, and now he's back, with a Gen Z kid as his megaphone. It's shameful." He waved a dismissive hand, the audience splitting, half cheering, half booing loudly. De Niro paced the stage, his voice dropping low, dripping with drama like his Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver. "You know, I'm not just talking for fun. I've seen America through decades. I grew up on real streets, not fake mansions like Trump. I make movies. I built Nobu. I live real. Trump, he just destroys. And Leavitt? She's the young face he uses to fool people. Like, look, I'm modern. But she's not fooling me. She's got Catholic faith, prays every day, fine. But if she's praying to cover for Trump, even God can't save her." Laughter erupted again, louder this time, a few standing to clap. He paused, turning toward backstage where Leavitt waited. "Karoline, I know you hear me," he said, his tone brimming with challenge. "You tweet you're not afraid of anyone, that you'll defend Trump at all costs, so come out here. I want to hear you, no edits, no scripts, just the truth. But I'll warn you, I don't go easy. I've fought bigger than you my whole life, from film sets to politics, and I've never lost." He pointed straight at the wings, the crowd roaring with applause, the tension thick as a taut string. De Niro sat down, tapping the table lightly, a smug grin plastered on his face. She wants to be Trump's mouthpiece. Fine, but don't expect me to stay quiet when she steps out. I'm here to expose Trump, Leavitt, the whole crew. This isn't a movie, it's real, and I'll show the country how she falls." He winked at Hannity, who laughed loudly. "Karoline, you hear that? He's ready." The crowd cheered, phones raised high, all eyes locked on the wings, where Leavitt prepared to emerge. Backstage, Karoline Leavitt stood behind the curtain, the stage lights casting a faint glow on her face. De Niro's words echoed, "Gen Z puppet, clueless kid." Each one a dagger, but she didn't tremble. Her deep blue suit hugged her frame, blonde hair tied back neatly, fists clenched, eyes ablaze. This was Fox News turf, where she'd appeared on Fox and Friends, and she wouldn't let De Niro win. She turned to her assistant, voice sharp. "Where's that old De Niro clip?" The assistant held up an iPad. "Here. He praised Obama in 2016, contradicts him now." Leavitt smirked. "Good. Send it to production. I want it on screen when I go out." The stage lights hit Karoline Leavitt full force as she emerged from backstage, her high heels clicking loudly on the floor, the deep blue suit accentuating her petite but determined frame. The ad break music faded, and Sean Hannity stood, raising a hand to introduce, "And here's Karoline Leavitt, White House press secretary, ready to face Robert De Niro." The crowd exploded, MAGA supporters clapping thunderously, liberals whistling in mockery. Leavitt nodded slightly to Hannity, her gaze sweeping the room before locking on De Niro. He sat there, arms crossed, smirk still intact, as if waiting to watch this 27-year-old crumble under his earlier assault. But Leavitt hadn't come to lose, she'd come to destroy. She gripped the mic, standing tall, her voice ringing clear across the studio. "Mr. De Niro, I heard everything you just said. Gen Z puppet, clueless kid. You think you can stand there, with your 2 Oscars and Goodfellas voice, and humiliate me, and President Trump in front of the nation? You're wrong." The room fell silent for a moment, stunned by her confidence. De Niro raised an eyebrow, smirking, but Leavitt gave him no chance to interrupt. "You call Trump a gangster, me a childish lackey, but have you looked at yourself? A Hollywood legend, living in luxury off Nobu hospitality, starring in flops like The Alto Nights, and you dare talk about failure? You've made millions playing tough guys, but in real life, you're just an out-of-touch relic who doesn't get the American people." Applause broke out from the MAGA side, a few standing to cheer. Leavitt stepped closer to the table, her eyes locked on De Niro. "You mock me over the signal leak? Fine, I didn't run that chat, but what do you know about accountability, Mr. De Niro? You stood outside Trump's courthouse, called him a malignant narcissist, but ever looked in the mirror?" She signaled production, and the big screen lit up. An old 2016 clip played, De Niro in a gray suit, grinning on CNN. "I like how Obama handles things. He's smart, he's got vision." The clip froze, and Leavitt turned to him, voice cutting. "That's you praising Obama, the guy Trump beat to bring the change millions of Americans wanted. So who's the hypocrite here? You hate Trump, but you backed what he fixed. I may be young, but at least I'm not pretending like you." The crowd erupted, applause and whistles shaking the studio. De Niro gripped his chair, face flushing, clearly unprepared for this 27-year-old to fire back with ammo. He opened his mouth to retort, but Leavitt cut him off. "I'm not done, Mr. De Niro. You say I'm Trump's puppet? I'm here because I believe in what we're doing. Making America strong again, from the economy to the border. And you? Who do you represent besides Hollywood elites? You live in mansions, open Nobu restaurants, while I grew up in New Hampshire, in a middle-class family, knowing what Americans need. Who's really out of touch?" The MAGA crowd leapt up, shouts of "Karoline! Karoline!" echoing from every corner. Hannity laughed loudly, raising a hand as if to calm things down, but Leavitt wasn't finished. She stepped closer, pointing straight at De Niro. "You mock my faith, say I pray to cover for Trump. I pray for strength, strength you don't understand, because you only play tough on screen. I don't need Oscars to prove myself, I've got the American people behind me." Applause now spread across the studio, even some neutrals nodding, swept up in her momentum. De Niro leaned back in his chair, hands trembling, his smug grin gone, replaced by rare unease. She leaned forward, voice low but clear through the mic. "You want unedited truth? Here's the truth. Trump won because the people chose him, not you. I'm 27, but I've worked for him since college, from the White House to the campaign. I'm not a puppet, I'm a voice for millions. And you? You're done, Mr. De Niro. The Alto Knights lost $40 million. What standing do you have to talk about success or failure? De Niro shot up, pointing at her. You think you're clever, huh? I've fought bigger than you my whole life. But his voice faltered, lacking conviction, and the crowd started whistling in mockery. Leavitt smiled faintly, eyes never leaving him. Fight who you want, but today you lost. I'm not here for your amusement, I'm here to show the country how wrong you are. She turned to the audience, raising a hand. Who agrees with me that Mr. De Niro should retire? The room exploded, clapping, cheering and whistling blending into a victory symphony. Hannity jumped up, clapping and laughing. Karoline, you just made this stage yours. Leavitt sat across from De Niro, legs crossed, gaze steady. He stared back, hands gripping the chair, face red as if slapped. You're good, he muttered. Just loud enough for the mic, but I'm not done. Leavitt shrugged, replying, neither am I, Mr. De Niro. Ask away if you dare. The clip of Leavitt playing the old video, and her "you're done" line hit the web instantly via Fox News' team. Within seconds, #Leavitt fees De Niro rocketed on X, viewers at home sharing it frantically. De Niro sat there, eyes darkening, clearly blindsided by the counterpunch. Leavitt, with Fox News sharpness and Trump loyalty, had turned his attack into her springboard. This wasn't just a comeback, it was peak destruction, and the nation watched a Gen Z star take down a Hollywood legend, live on air. Robert De Niro sat across, hands clenched on the chair's arms, face flushed as if his 81-year reputation had been slapped. His eyes darkened, smug grin gone, replaced by anger mixed with confusion. Leavitt had turned him from Hollywood icon to punchline. You're done. You live in luxury mansions, each word a knife to his pride. Sean Hannity, still between them, laughed loudly. Bob, got anything to say? She just lit this studio up. But De Niro didn't laugh. He took a deep breath, stood, pointing straight at Leavitt, voice trembling but trying to stay steely. You think you're so smart, kid? He growled, his deep Goodfellas tone now tinged with strain. You dare stand here in front of me using old clips to lecture me? Who do you think you are to say I'm done? The room hushed for a moment, awaiting a sharp comeback, but his words lacked their usual punch. Leavitt sat there, legs crossed, gaze unflinching. You're Trump's puppet, I was right. De Niro pressed on, hand raised like he was on a Broadway stage. You're 27, haven't lived enough to know what's what, and you dare come on Fox News to teach me about truth. I've seen guys like Trump, he's a menace, and you're just his megaphone. Mocking whistles rose from the MAGA side, a few yelling, sit down, Bob. De Niro spun toward them, eyes blazing. You want me quiet? I won't shut up. I'm here for the truth. Trump's unfit, and so is she. But his voice wavered, unconvincing, and laughter broke out. Hannity cut in, hand up to ease the tension. Bob, cool it. She brought receipts. How do you answer that clip? De Niro turned back, pointing at the now dark screen. An old clip. So what? I can change my mind. I'm not a puppet like her, reading Trump's script word for word. But his retort only fueled louder laughs, someone shouting, really done now, Bobby. Leavitt leaned forward, smiling faintly. You want to talk about scripts? I don't need anyone to write my words, but what about you, Mr. De Niro? You've lived off scripts your whole life, from The Godfather to The Irishman. I'm here because I believe in what I say. The crowd clapped again, louder this time, and De Niro gripped the mic tightly, his face beat red as if about to explode. Don't get cocky with me, he shouted, hands trembling. I built my career from nothing in Little Italy, not thanks to Trump or Fox News. I've got Nobu, I've got films. What do you have besides a mouth reading his orders? But the MAGA audience's applause drowned him out, and another round of laughter erupted as someone yelled, the Alto Knights lost $40 million, Bob. Hannity sat back, laughing loudly. Karoline, you've got him fired up now. De Niro turned to Hannity, voice sharp. She's not firing me up, she's just an arrogant kid. I've been fighting Trump since she was in diapers. I stood outside his courthouse, spoke straight to the crowd, and her, she just prays and covers up. But his words lacked weight, and Leavitt replied, voice calm, I pray for strength, Mr. De Niro. What do you pray for when the Alto Knights flopped so hard? Laughter roared through the studio, and De Niro stepped back, dropping the mic on the table, his gaze blank. The commercial break hit, but the drama didn't stop. As the show resumed, De Niro still sat there, trying to regain his composure. I'm not done, he muttered, glaring at Leavitt. You want to play this game? I'll show the country who you are, a childish opportunist. But his voice shook, and the audience no longer cheered for him. Hannity shrugged. Bob, she scored points. What have you got to turn this around? De Niro paused, then said quietly, I don't need to turn it around. I'm Robert De Niro, and she's nothing. After the show, De Niro left the studio with a dark expression, his team scurrying behind. He got in the car, opened his phone, and typed a tweet from his official account. Karoline, Leavitt is arrogant, but Trump's still the biggest danger. I didn't lose today. The tweet posted, but the first reply came from a MAGA account. You lost, Bob, go retire. He tossed the phone onto the seat, hands shaking, clearly unable to accept defeat. The next day he appeared on CNN, trying to hit back. She thinks she's clever, but I've seen it all. I've fought Trump for years, and she's just his shadow. As the Hannity stage lights dimmed, applause and whistles still echoed through the Fox News studio, the audience buzzing after the showdown between Karoline Leavitt and Robert De Niro. Leavitt sat there, legs crossed, gaze steady, a faint smile flickering like a gladiator after a win. De Niro, face flushed, hands limp on the chair, eyes darkened, clearly no longer in control of the narrative. Sean Hannity stood between them, raising a hand and laughing. What did you just witness? Karoline Leavitt made this stage hers. The crowd erupted one last time, MAGA supporters cheering, chanting, Karoline. Karoline, while liberals whispered among themselves, some shaking their heads, unable to believe the 81-year-old legend got taken down by a 27-year-old. But the drama didn't end in the studio. Minutes later, social media ignited like a bomb, and the nation started picking sides. Fox News' production team swiftly posted the highlight clip to X as the show wrapped, Leavitt playing De Niro's old Obama-praising clip, followed by her razor-sharp line. You're done, Mr. De Niro. Within 30 seconds, #Leavitt frees De Niro rocketed to top trending, racking up tens of thousands of tweets. Conservatives, especially the MAGA crowd, dove into the fray like they'd found a new heroine. A prominent account with over 500,000 followers tweeted, Karoline Leavitt just knocked out De Niro, Gen Z, 1 Hollywood 0. The post, paired with a photo of Leavitt at the mic, eyes blazing, got thousands of likes in minutes. Another wrote, she's 27, and made De Niro tremble. This is MAGA's comeback queen. With a video of Leavitt saying you live in luxury mansions, spreading like wildfire. Memes flooded X like a tidal wave. The fastest spreading image showed De Niro red-faced, hands shaking, captioned, when you think you're a Goodfellas gangster but get schooled by Gen Z. A fan-edited short video, pairing Leavitt's You're Done, with a silent De Niro from The Irishman, hit over 200,000 views in an hour. A MAGA account posted, Karoline just showed De Niro Fox News isn't Hollywood's playground, retire Bob, with a pic of Leavitt raising her hand to the crowd, pulling thousands of retweets. Trump supporters across the platform dubbed her Killer Karoline, one tweeting, Trump didn't pick her for show, she's a real fighter. Meanwhile, De Niro's fans spiraled into chaos. Some tried defending him on X, De Niro's a legend, this kid just used cheap tricks, but others couldn't deny the loss. A loyal fan wrote, I love Bob, but he got smoked. Leavitt was too sharp, he couldn't keep up. Another posted a taxi driver De Niro meme with you talking to me. Yeah, and you lost. Adding he thought he was untouchable, but Karoline showed the country he's done. Some hit harder. De Niro went too far mocking her faith, now he's paying for it. Embarrassing. The clip of the crowd laughing when Leavitt brought up the Alto Knights' $40 million loss got shared thousands of times, with comments like she turned Bob into a joke. The media jumped in. Fox News posted right after Karoline Leavitt teaches Robert De Niro a lesson in truth, hailing her as the future of the conservative movement. A Fox and Friends commentator tweeted, she just made De Niro an example, don't mess with Trump's Gen Z. Liberal outlets like CNN fired back, Leavitt scored, but she's still Trump's mouthpiece, Don't be fooled. A Variety piece stirred debate. De Niro's rare defeat. He underestimated his young opponent. Even critics conceded, she's smarter than we thought. That old clip was a perfect hit. A middle-aged man in a MAGA hat told his friend, "She made me proud," took down De Niro right on Fox's home turf. Another woman, leaning liberal, shook her head. "I like Bob, but she was too sharp. He didn't stand a chance." Phones shot up across the room. Clips of Leavitt's "You're done" line hitting Instagram and YouTube at breakneck speed. One user wrote, "This is the drama of the year. Karoline 1, De Niro 0. Hashtag #De Niro meltdown started rivaling #Leavitt TVS De Niro, with a standout tweet. De Niro raged but did nothing. Karoline won hands down. As Hannity rapped, the fallout from the Karoline-Leavitt-Robert De Niro clash didn't just stay in the Fox News studio or the social media storm. Leavitt left the stage with a faint smile, eyes steady, her deep blue suit still crisp as when she walked out. De Niro, face dark, hurried off with his team, hands still clutching his phone after his angry tweet. But this battle wasn't just a drama moment, it left a lasting impact, reshaping both their images in the eyes of the public, media and American politics. Leavitt, once a mocked target, became a new conservative icon. De Niro, once an untouchable legend, faced a major dent in his reputation. In the White House, Leavitt's win was celebrated like a triumph. Hours after the show, Donald Trump tweeted from his account, "Karoline Leavitt was fantastic. She just showed De Niro and the fake Hollywood crowd the truth. Very proud." This public praise wasn't just a pat on the back, it signaled that Leavitt, at 27, had solidified her place in Trump's inner circle. Close advisors like Stephen Miller and Kayleigh McEnany, who doubted she could take on a heavyweight like De Niro, now had to admit her skill. An insider told Fox News, "Trump loved that performance. She didn't just survive, she crushed him on home turf." Leavitt's later White House briefings drew unprecedented attention, with reporters probing about Signal or Trump, but she handled them with new confidence. "I faced De Niro, these questions don't faze me," she said, her smile silencing the room. Conservatives quickly crowned Leavitt the Gen Z star of MAGA. Charlie Kirk, a prominent conservative host, tweeted, "Karoline Leavitt is the future, youth, faith, and fearless. She just taught Hollywood a lesson." Breitbart raved, "At 27, she did what veteran politicians wouldn't dare, took down De Niro before millions." Small X polls showed huge MAGA support, one user writing, "She crushed De Niro, put her in the Senate." The killer Karoline persona spread, turning her from a young spokesperson into an icon of a new conservative generation, one not just loyal to Trump, but able to fight and win on the media battlefield. Not everyone saw Leavitt's win as positive. Liberals and De Niro loyalists called it a staged stunt to appease Trump. A Daily Beast piece argued, "Leavitt's just a talking puppet, using an old clip doesn't make her good, just well-trained." An MSNBC commentator said, "She's sharp, but don't forget, she still speaks for Trump, who De Niro rightly calls a danger." Still, even detractors acknowledged her savvy. A CNN journalist admitted, De Niro underestimated her, and now she's got a spotlight conservatives will milk dry. The Signal fiasco, once a weakness, faded behind her image as a fearless warrior. For De Niro, the aftermath was a rare reputation shock. He appeared on CNN the next day, trying to regroup. "She's arrogant, but Trump's still the big issue. I didn't lose, I'm just speaking truth." But his voice lacked vigor, and viewers saw he'd lost the narrative. Loyal fans defended him on X. "De Niro's a legend, one loss doesn't change that," but others were blunt. "He just got humiliated by Leavitt. He's done." Variety wrote, "De Niro's rare flop. He didn't expect Gen Z to hit back so hard." Some criticized him for overreaching by mocking Leavitt's faith. "He looked like a bully, and she made him pay," a fan tweeted. De Niro's legacy didn't collapse. He still has 2 Oscars, no boo, and fans from The Godfather to Second to The Irishman. But this clash left a big scratch. Media critics analyzed De Niro excels against Dodgers, but facing a Leavitt who fights back threw him off. The Atlantic wrote. It sparked questions about his fit in modern political battles. At 81, was he still the potent anti-Trump voice of old? Some fans suggested he stick to films like the upcoming Zero Day, rather than sparring with youngsters like Leavitt. For Leavitt, the victory proved youth isn't a flaw. At 27, she turned De Niro's Gen Z puppet jab into leverage, using his own 2016 words to flip the script. She's no novice from aiding Kayleigh McEnany, running for Congress, to becoming the youngest White House press secretary. She's honed her edge on Fox News. Her Catholic faith, shared on CBN, isn't just motivation, it connects her to millions of conservative Americans. When Trump tweeted "very proud," it wasn't just praise. It marked Leavitt as a new MAGA generation, young, tough, and unafraid of elites. She didn't just defend Trump, she showed Gen Z can lead the political game, making Fox News her arena. De Niro, conversely, represents a fading era. With 2 Oscars, no boo, and a resume from Goodfellas to The Irishman, he was once Hollywood's untouchable anti-Trump titan, roaring outside Trump's courthouse. But this clash showed he's out of step with the new pace. At 81, he underestimated Leavitt, thinking experience would crush youth. Instead, her jabs, "You're done." The Alto Knights lost $40 million, flustered him and exposed his disconnect to a modern audience. His legacy endures, fans still call him a legend, but this dent suggests old Hollywood's sway is waning against youngsters like Leavitt. The story Karoline Leavitt destroys Robert De Niro on live TV. His furious reaction goes insanely viral, mirrors America's stark polarization and shifting power today. A nation where media, social media, and generational clashes shape how truth and influence are seen. In it, Leavitt, 27, used De Niro's old clip to turn his Gen Z puppet attack, making him a relic on Fox News. De Niro, 81, raged back but faltered, and social media exploded with #Leavitt BS De Niro, Gen Z 1, Boomer 0 memes, and Trump's praise. This wasn't just drama, it's a snapshot of modern America, where youth challenges experience, and whoever owns the narrative on X or TikTok holds power. The real-life lesson for today's U.S. is never underestimate your opponent, and always have your own ammo ready, in work, debates, or social media. Leavitt won by studying De Niro, using his 2016 words to strike back, and refusing the puppet label, a tactic you can use against criticism in life. De Niro lost to overconfidence, thinking Goodfellas fame would suffice, unprepared for Leavitt's sharpness, a mistake to avoid with younger colleagues or rivals. In a U.S. where a Trump tweet or #Karoline knockout hashtag can shift perception in hours, take Leavitt's cue, stand up, wield facts as weapons, and define your story before someone else does. Whether Gen Z or Boomer, power lies in readiness and smarts, not just age or past glory. Thanks for watching Karoline Leavitt take down De Niro in this peak drama. Hit subscribe now so you don't miss the next fiery media battles. See you in the upcoming video, where we'll dive into who Killer Karoline's next opponent might be.